Vancouver is not known for its winter great weather. It rains a lot here. In fact, actually, we will get weeks of nothing but gray and awful. And a couple of years ago, a friend of mine and I were talking about shooting in the rain. And he, explained to me his technique, which was surprisingly simple. And his photos as well, which were amazing. And then I decided that it would be, probably not a bad idea to take advantage of the fact that we always have gray, wet weather in November and get out and take some photos. So, one of the other things as well is that, especially when it comes to photography and thinking and talking about photography, I spend a lot of time considering equipment, discussing all kinds of things about which pieces of equipment to get. But really, when it comes down to it, the great thing about photography is actually going out and shooting. So even on an ugly gray day, there's always something to get. So that's what we did. So we took the dog out because she always needs to walk. And we headed over to the North Shore here, which is not too far away. We're in a forest just outside of Vancouver on the North Shore. And we're right next to a creek called Lynn Creek. And we're out here in the rain taking a few photographs of the creek. And maybe some wildlife. One of the things about Vancouver that is actually really fantastic is that a 15-minute drive, 20-minute drive, and you're in the middle of nowhere. I think the best thing about shooting in the rain is that, first of all, you go places that are ordinarily busy that, of course, when it's pelting with rain, no one wants to go to. I actually have an old, circa 2008, Hasselblad 39 megapixel digital back. And previously I had been shooting with it, doing this, these wet photos. But as it turns out, actually a friend of mine had borrowed it. And so I dragged out the Nikon D810 to see how 36 megapixels would respond to 39 megapixels, 36 modern megapixels as opposed to 39 ancient megapixels. All right. Yeah. Oh yeah, that looks great. And I was actually surprised. I mean, the Nikon was perfectly fine. Totally, it was, well, I mean, you can tell the difference, if you really look at it, but then for my needs, the fact that it weighed half as much or less than half as much, and didn't have a whole bunch of flaky things that don't work too well when there's a lot of moisture around, made it totally worthwhile to shoot with the Nikon. So one of the things about shooting in the rain is it's all about preparation. What I find works best is that I have something called a dry bag, which is something that kayakers use. And it's just a waterproof sack that you can throw over top of your camera and lens and keep it dry. An umbrella, which works surprisingly well. And then in terms of getting the shots that I wanted, I find that I have to use a lot of ND because I like using longer shutter speeds. So I've got a 6-stop and a 10-stop ND filter. And I also have some graduated NDs, some soft graduated NDs that we use to bring down the sky. And then the other thing as well is some really good cloths. Some nice absorbent cloths to keep things dry. Well, we're looking at, let's see here, there we go. That's nice. That's rather pretty. Nice and sharp. Thank you, 24mm lens. A couple hours out in the forest. There's nothing better. Thankfully, you only ever do that once in your career. And the memory card that I loaded backwards was in the form of film last week, so it'll never happen again.
Senility slips in.
Sorry, what was I talking about? Of course, everything gets fogged up in your pockets, which is always a bit of a pain, but it's either that or soaking wet. Nice.